Hi, everyone. My name is Timothy Cassis, and I'm the head of AI at Cadence. I want to show you a quick tutorial today for how to use Cadence to generate graphical abstracts for papers. It could be peer-reviewed papers, white papers, brochures, market analysis reports, anything really. The example today is going to go through two different academic papers and see how we can generate a graphical abstract that essentially is a nice summary of the paper, and it's something that a lot of journals actually request that you submit. Before I delve into details, just to give you an overview of what Cadence Web is. So Cadence Web is our hosted platform that's capable of doing end-to-end research. Our website is cadence.ai. You can see a variety of use cases in everything from science to engineering to finance and so forth. It's free to use. Anyone that signs up to Cadence gets about $50 worth of credits. And then our fast mode for a limited time is also free to use. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go to get started. I'm already logged into Cadence. The user interface is actually very intuitive. It's similar to a lot of kind of chat-based applications that you see out there, like ChatGPT or Claude. But obviously, under the hood, this is a lot more powerful and lets you do things that are a lot more complicated than what you can do in typical kind of LLM platforms. So for this tutorial, we're going to look at a very simple use case just to kind of show you some of the internal capabilities of the system. When you first log in, you're going to see kind of a projects directory. So here I created a new project called tutorials. And then you can see some additional information about how much credits you have. And of course, whenever you want, you can click on getting started, and that'll give you kind of a very short tutorial for how to use the system. The platform is pretty easy to use if you've used other kind of LLM-based platforms, but I know sometimes it might be overwhelming if you haven't used something else. Generally speaking, most of these platforms, including ours, have a chat interface. So this is how you communicate to the system. Now, for our case, you can choose between kind of different levels of analysis. What we mean by that is essentially how much intelligence are you giving the system. And this is always a compromise between kind of speed, cost, and intelligence. So for very complicated tasks where you're doing like very heavy research, you're giving it a data set and then you want a full paper, you want to go with Pro. For simple things like what we're doing right now in the tutorial, usually fast or standard is really enough. For the purpose of this kind of tutorial here, I'm going to go with standard. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload one of the papers that I have. Actually, before I show you that, I just want to show you the papers. So I chose two papers here. One paper is one that I had written a very long time ago, back in 2012 or something, back when papers used to be very boring. It has barely any kind of nice visualizations. It has a lot of text. And I do want to create a graphical abstract that actually summarizes this paper. The other paper I'm going to quickly kind of show is the paper that just came out in Nature Communications. It's not mine. It's just a paper that I found interesting. It's an interesting read. You can read the title here, and very, very good job by the authors. But again, this doesn't have a lot of nice visualizations. The figures towards the end are very, very kind of basic. So what I want is to create a graphical abstract that summarizes this in like a very easy to digest visual form. So I'm going to go back to the platform. I'm going to up one of these files. Let's start with my paper, so the Cassis et al. Paper. And I'm just going to give the system a kind of very simple instruction. I'm going to say, based on the attached manuscript, please create a visually compelling graphical abstract. And of course, here you can be more specific. You can say, I want the graphical abstract to focus on the methodology or the results. Here, I'm just going to kind of let the system figure out kind of what I mean. And then when I click submit, the system usually takes a bit of time because there's a lot of agents, these kind of LLMs running behind the scenes that analyze what you're saying. They do a lot of kind of validation, make sure everything is accurate, etc. But the first thing this is going to present me with is a few set of questions about what is it exactly that I'm asking. So just some clarification questions. So question number one is the key message. What is the single most important finding you want the abstract to convey? Is it to contrast between fasted and postprandial states? So this is what the paper is about, by the way, or mechanism of changes. For answer number one, I'm just going to say no preference. I really don't have a preference. Question number two is asking for visual style. Do you prefer a schematic style, simplified biological illustrations of the lymphatic vessel, or data-driven style? I'm going to say here, I want something that is visually striking. Let's see what we end up with here. But of course, you can steer it towards any style that you're interested in. The audience, is this intended for specialists in lymphatic physiology or broader scientific audience? Since this is a graphical abstract, I'm going to go with broader. And then for the format, I'm going to say landscape, because most journals actually require landscape graphical abstracts. I don't have a specific journal in mind. Let's just go with kind of a default kind of aspect ratio. And then I'm going to click submit again. And then the system is going to add my paper. It actually has already converted it into a format that these agents can understand. And then it's going to start working on a plan. In most cases, the plan is very simple depending on the task. In some cases, the plan could be very, very comprehensive. So looking at the plan here, in this case, obviously, it's a very simple plan. So it says it's going to extract the key findings from the paper. It's going to kind of outline a conceptual design, and then just going to generate an abstract. And then kind of there's a bunch of kind of secret ingredients for how we make these abstracts and visualizations very visually appealing and accurate. That's going to go through. And then it has kind of some internal checks that it does in terms of accuracy. Does it actually fit with the requirements I set for it? And is it kind of clear, etc. And then it's asking me, does the plan look good to you? I'm going to say, yeah, it looks great. And then it's going to go and execute the plan. Now, given that there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, this takes a few minutes. So essentially what's going to happen is it's going to read the paper, understand what's happening, and then it's going to start creating and generating the graphical abstract. And it's going to go through a few iterations just to make sure it's really tuned towards exactly what I asked it. Now we see the system is thinking about the entire process. So in most cases, you'll see kind of the high-level internal thought of how the system is thinking. So it kind of analyzed the paper, understood the basic ideas, the basic concepts, and now it's generating the graphical abstract. So we're going to give it about a minute or two because it's going through kind of a lot of internal thought. And we get a summary here. The graphical abstracts represents 3 panels. It explains exactly what the abstract is, and then it kind of shows you where to find it. And now the agent is going to continue a bit just to kind of generate a summary, but our data is kind of already ready to view. I'm going to go to figures, so it says kind of this is the graphical abstract, and it actually generated an alternative here, which I didn't ask for, but it was very nice and thought of the system to do that. So let me open the final result, which is the kind of recommended graphical abstract. And honestly, this looks very, very impressive. This looks very, very good. So this essentially summarizes, what the paper says. And let's look at the alternative that it generated, V2. Also very, very good. Yeah. Okay, so let's start another session for the new paper. So I'm just going to click on New Session. And this is under the tutorials project. I'm going to upload the second paper. So this was the paper we found in Nature Communications recently, a very interesting paper. I'm going to ask it to generate a graphical abstract for the attached manuscript, or let's just call it paper. And I'm going to select the standard mode. And let's see what we get. So it's also going to present us with a few questions just to clarify the user intent. Usually, these options are optional. You can skip them if you want, but in most cases, it helps to answer them just so the system can really understand what you're trying to accomplish. Usually, it asks about anywhere from 4 to 6 or 7 questions. So in this case, you can read the questions, but I'm not very concerned about specifics here. So I'm just going to say, go for it. And again, it's going to present me with a plan. And with the plan, I can either just approve it as is, or I can modify it if I so wish by telling the system again to change certain aspects to it. This is going to be a very simple plan because it's doing a very simple thing, which is generating a graphical abstract. Well, simple for Cadence. So I'm going to say, go for it. There's no reason to change any of this. Let's just confirm. Yeah, that all looks good. And now it's going to start generating the abstract for this new paper. So let's give it about 5 or 10 minutes or so, and then we can kind of come back to it. Okay, the generation is done. If we look at the deliverables here, this is essentially a summary of the panels it generated, and it basically chose to focus on particular areas of the paper. Again, what it focuses on is up to you to kind of define in the prompt. Usually, it chooses some kind of very meaningful aspects of the paper, but you can always decide what that looks like. And then finally, it just generated here a summary, which I'm not going to go into, but basically this summarizes what it did, the methodology for how it did it, and essentially the final graphical abstract. And if we look at the final results, I'm just going to open the final image. This is essentially the representation of the paper. Again, you can actually continue with this to further refine it. For example, you can say, I don't like the third panel, please improve it in XYZ ways, or I don't like the color scheme or the style. You can fully customize that. So that was essentially using Cadence Web to generate graphical abstracts. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be releasing a lot more tutorials around using Cadence Web, various applications in science, finance, healthcare, engineering, and kind of general kind of life science applications specifically, but also just lifestyle. Things like, how do I find a good apartment? Can you do an analysis of the real estate scene in, your favorite city? Thank you. And please do visit our website and email us if you have any questions.